Welcome to BeeWellwith MS podcast, where we delve into the latest multiple sclerosis management and care. I'm your host, Dr. Agne Straukiene, neurologist, and today we are exploring an exciting topic, the use of digital platforms in self-managing multiple sclerosis. Joining me, my guest, Finn Moxson, an experienced MS coordinator who will share insights on integrating technology into patient care for self-management. In this episode, we will discuss the importance of self-management for people living with MS and how digital health tools are transforming this landscape. We will highlight key components of effective self-management support, referencing groundbreaking literature, and share real-world outcomes from our PKB, Patient Knows Best Digital Platform User Experience Project at Torbay Hospital. We also touch on the global patient reporting outcomes for multiple sclerosis initiative, which bridges the gap between clinical research and patient care by integrating patient-reported outcomes into MS management. This initiative emphasizes the importance of patient voices in shaping effective care strategies and highlights how digital tools can enhance patient engagement and health outcomes. So, I would like to also emphasize the importance of the current conventional indexes used to evaluate patient symptoms in multiple sclerosis, such as Expanded Disability Status Scale, which we call EDSS, and the Multiple Sclerosis Functional Composite have long been the cornerstones of clinical assessment. However, these tools often fall short in capturing the full spectrum of the patient experience, particularly the subjective aspects of living with MS, the patient-reported outcome measures, and the articles and the research underscores the significant limitations of these traditional measures, noting that they are frequently biased towards certain functions like ambulation and may miss subtle but impactful changes in patient's condition. Patient-reported outcome measures provide a vital complementary perspective by directly capturing the patient's voice and also giving a broader range of symptoms, including fatigue, pain, bladder problems, emotional well-being, and social participation. So I can't wait to have this discussion around self-management by using digital technology and real-world experience that we brought into Torbay area in the UK, the place where we both work. MS coordinator Finn Moxson is a coordinator of the service that I am working and leading in the UK, in the southwest, in the beautiful town Torquay. And let's dive into the real world of digital self-management in MS and uncover how these innovations are making a real difference in patients' lives. So, Finn, welcome to this episode, and I would like to hear more about your background and experience and your role as a MS coordinator. How you become involved in integrating these digital tools and self-management into MS care?
Well, I've been in this current role for a little over 10 months now, spending an additional 9 months back in the team back in early 2021. We've sort of been working on these digital platforms for quite some time, but only in their infancy back in 2021. Initially allowed us to engage with patients in a way not too typical of a member of admin staff would be able to, but as they're developing and progressing now, we're really able to capture a lot more data than we were previously able to, as well as connect with patients on a much deeper level and a social level that we previously weren't able to as well. The actual implication of building these platforms of patients means, yes, we are collecting more and more data, which helps to create better patient health outcomes, but we're also able to connect with patients on a deeper social level, which helps them to feel more supported as well.
What is your background, Finn? Where are you coming from? What's your education? How
Sure.
you use your skills and education into day-to-day service providing activities?
My early background is in psychology. I studied psychology at Bournemouth University. I was then enrolled as the Multiple Sclerosis Database Administrator at Torbay, where I first started working with yourself and really getting a taste for some of the experiences of people with MS. I then left to conduct research as a clinical research practitioner at Exeter RD&E, where I was able to work with some digital platforms that were aimed specifically at implementing interventions for dementia, as well as running some social coaching research for people with psychosis. So I do have a bit of a background with digital platforms, as well as running research surrounding people that may be more vulnerable due to their illness. So being able to come back to MS and the team has been really rewarding for me, I think. And being able to bring some of this expertise that I've gathered from other roles, I feel like has been a real feather in the cap for our team as well.
We are really lucky to have Finn on board and provide service that we understand is benefiting and changing people's lives. And I think the background of psychology mixed with the previous exposure and learning points and experience using digital technology in the research field, I think that only brings for you as a coordinator unique skills, and we really appreciate having you, and many patients do too. I think you do various different activities, and probably will delve and dive deep to understand how your role evolved over the time and what is exactly you doing to help to improve the engagement. For people who are not very much aware of what the patient-reported outcomes are in general, and how important they are in the management of multiple sclerosis. So patient-reported outcome measures, PROMs, we call, or patient-reported experience measures, PREMs, or patient preference information, PPI, is an active and passive data collection on functional domains of multiple sclerosis. They are standardized and validated tools used to collect information directly from patients or patients' carers about their patient's health status, quality of life, and the effects of their treatment for their own perspective. PROMs includes a range of health domains, including physical function, pain, fatigue, emotional well-being, and social participation. They provide a valuable insights into how patients perceive their own health and the impact of the disease and treatment of their day-to-day living. And if we look in the context of MS, for example, PROMs are crucial for several reasons. So it's a patient-centered care approach. PROMs place patients at the center of their care by prioritizing their perspectives and experiences. This aligns treatment goals with what matters most to that individual, leading to more personalized and effective care. It also improves the communication. So by systematically capturing patient-reported data, PROMs enhance communication between the patients and healthcare providers. And we see that from our real-world experience. Finn is going to share that in more details. This really helps to identifying issues that may not be evident through the clinical assessments alone. How many people have 15-minute appointments in the UK and elsewhere globally? It's real. It's not enough time to capture the day-to-day living experiences and quality of life, and certain subtle symptoms that are not necessarily visible during the clinical consultation and not necessarily spoken. So this is an amazing opportunity to identify these issues and monitor disease progression as well. MS is a complex and variable disease. PROMs allow for continuous monitoring of symptoms and disease progression over time, providing a more comprehensive understanding of patients' condition. We're talking about the recent publication that came out about smoldering associative worsening in multiple sclerosis, an international consensus statement on definition, biology, clinical implication, and future directions. I think this is super important and it's been acknowledged by multiple scientists and experts in MS that we're not able with the conventional EDSS assessment, identify the early signs of the progression. So we really want to integrate the patient reporting outcomes in our day-to-day services that we provide for people with MS and identify these symptoms. For example, fatigue is one of the crucial and most important symptom affects around 80% of people living with MS. And that could be an early sign of the progression. But if you don't measure that, you don't know where the patient's journeys are. And limitation of the MRI scans and the EDSS assessment. This particular article that I just referred advises to use EDSS plus assessment. Again, the minor fluctuations might not be identified in a timely manner. Also, the PROMS helps to evaluate treatment efficacy. It's essential assessing the effectiveness of the treatments that we prescribe, whether it's a symptom management, whether it's a disease-modifying therapy, but from more patient's viewpoint rather than the clinicians. If people provide their information by using the patient-reported outcomes, it helps to identify whether interventions are improving patients' quality of life. This is most important aspect. We are focused on the changes or no changes on the MRI scan, or on the inflammation, relapses, etc. But at the end of the day, what's the quality of life the patients are living? This is important measure, and it only can be captured and evaluated by running the structured interviews, running the surveys, the questionnaires, and that's very important. And that sort of lays the foundation for the research and clinical trials as well. A lot of the standard clinical trials not necessarily taking into account patient-reported outcomes, and this is such a valuable assessment, evaluating the impact of the new treatments that are coming or interventions that are being used as part of the clinical and research. The PROMs provide data that complement clinical and biological measures, offering a holistic view of treatment benefits and risks. So these kind of things are very important, and this is the driver behind the scenes why we've done it with Finn and the whole team. So I would like to sort of now talk with you, Finn, about the initial implementation. What motivated our team to use the Patient Knows Best platform, and what are the initial steps? How do we lay the foundation and integrate this into our workload?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to note that back in 2021, we ran an initial pilot for the platform in which we had 40 of our current patients for the confirmed diagnosis of MS register for the platform. This platform was in its infancy, but it still did have lots of functionality like symptom tracking, measurement tracking, and access to blood results. And then after a month of use, we collected some initial feedback. The feedback was extremely positive. It showed that over 96% of participants agreed or strongly agreed that MSPKB looked like a helpful platform to use, and 44% believed that using MSPKB had already given them more confidence in self-monitoring and self-managing. So as an initial pilot, this is a really strong piece of evidence that we should really invest our time in these digital platforms, because they are already showing a clear benefit even in their infancy. So moving forward to my role now as a dedicated coordinator, we really decided to up the ante and deliver a more comprehensive and a more connected digital platform experience for our current users. Focusing on recruitment and engagement, we've really been able to build something that we believe can not only capture more data, but also deliver a better and more useful experience for those actually using these platforms. So in terms of actually implementing these platforms, there's really two main avenues of focus. That is recruitment and that is engagement. In terms of recruitment, we essentially are either canvassing via letters, emails, or via face-to-face consultation during clinics. Once patients have agreed that they would like to take part in the platform, we would then run an online demonstration via MS Teams or Zoom, in which we can essentially run through a whistle-stop tour of what these digital platforms can offer, as well as talking about how to access them, how to use them and some of the benefits of actually using these functionalities. Once the demonstrations have been completed, current users are then able to use the platforms as they like, while also having a direct line of contact to myself, the coordinator, in case there is any need for assistance down the line. Now, the other aspect of this is engagement. We had roughly 100 users of MS-PKB before dedicated coordination, but with only roughly 18 logins per week. So how do you make people log in? It all comes down to education and communication. We revamped current content, we made it appealing, made sure it's up to date and relevant to people with MS. We offered multiple demonstrations and refresher courses for old users that have maybe not used the platform for quite some time, but are still very interested in monitoring their health and self-managing and feeling more confident in managing their MS. We've also massively encouraged communication with care teams directly through some of these digital platforms. And we've also introduced weekly communications where we directly send out to users updates on new research, updates on events that are going on within the community that may help for peer-to-peer support. The rollout for something like this is not simply giving them the tools and letting them use it. You really need to have something in place to ensure that people feel supported in using it, understand how to use the tools that they're being given, and also have the option to connect with their care team in whichever way they really see fit.
Finn, thank you for that overview. And I think it's worth mentioning that you are engaging with people with MS in the community. You go and meet them. So tell us a little bit that experience and sort of the promotional aspect of using the digital platform for self-management.
It's been really interesting. I think my role as a coordinator is definitely evolving quite organically. Quite alongside the platforms that we're making themselves, which is fantastic. But as someone that entered the role as purely an administrative role, I've had the incredible opportunity to go out and meet members of the community with MS, members of the community that support people with MS. And this has really all been made possible by these digital platforms, which is fantastic. But we've been invited along to MS Society exercise classes that take place in Paynton and take place in Newton Abbot. We've been invited along to coffee mornings, monthly coffee mornings that run out of Teignmouth, that run out of Torquay, that run out of Newton Abbot. We've been invited along to all sorts of different events, and it's such an amazing opportunity to meet people with MS in a non-clinical setting, actually just living their lives. And it's such a heartwarming thing to be able to experience. Especially for myself as someone that doesn't really get to meet these patients face to face. It's been a really great opportunity for me. And I think it's really important, not only for our patients to connect with other people, but I think it's great for us to really put a face on the service instead of it just being a purely clinical entity.
Yeah, we attended a Christmas party. There was a strawberry party. It's a great opportunity to connect and create a buzzing community. And this is where the Be Well with MS comes. You know, the bees are social creatures. They do form the networks, and that's our aim, to be honest, to create that buzzing, engaging environment. Which is our digital platform, where we could exchange and communicate and arrange some meetings and help and support and encourage people. And that led, Finn, if you could talk a little bit around the European Academy of Neurology poster that we presented on PKB users' experiences and how that improved over the time engagement. So can you take us through?
So the EAN poster that we produced for the very prestigious conference, we proposed a poster for digital engagement in MS care, surrounding the impact of coordination on patient platform utilization. We showed that weekly logins prior to a dedicated coordinator was extremely low. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, with roughly 100 users, we were capping at around 18 to 20 weekly logins. Following a dedicated coordinator's input, we capped out at roughly around 201 weekly logins, a massive increase, I think 725% increase roughly. We also briefly looked at weekly PKB message exchange. Messaging is a very important cornerstone of our digital platform utilization, which showed a massive increase in not only messages sent, but messages received from patients, which is showing a real investment in the platform, not only from our perspective, but also on the patient side as well. And we also ran a very interesting user experience feedback survey, looking at some different dimensions of self-monitoring and self-management behavior. For example, we looked at patients' confidence in accessing blood results prior to using PKB, and then looked at confidence after. So if I'm looking at the numbers here, accessing blood results showed 30% confidence prior to using Patients Know Best, which then rose to 77% post using Patients Know Best. It was a really fantastic thing to see. It really shows that our hard work's really paid off, and that the people that are using these digital platforms are not only using them, but really reaping some very clear benefit as well.
And the difference between before using the platform or at the baseline and 3 months later is statistically significant difference. So the p-values are reflecting that, and we really increasing the confidence. And in particular, people who are at age 50 and onwards, that we... And this is the majority of people that we're engaging. You may think, oh, it's just for young people, the digital platform. No, our cohort of patients users of the digital platform are, the peak age is 50 to 65, right, Finn?
Yep, 50 to 65.
An interesting fact is that I just want to emphasize and highlight that the coordination is essential. And if we could get some more funding across the globe and get the coordinators within the MS services helping and supporting clinicians, our data supports that. And I'll give you a very simple example. When Finn goes on annual leave and holiday, the activity of the login activity weekly drops. And there are days and of the week or when Finn takes annual leave, and so it's just a continuous communication actually increases the confidence, increases adherence to the service and digital platform, and people are more encouraged and confident using self-management and patient-reported outcome measures. So what exactly do we measure, Finn, in our clinics, group clinics? If you could just let people know that we are collecting patient-reported outcome measures for our BrainFit.
So for
clinics.
our BrainFit, we are looking at quite a large range of different things, to be honest. We are looking at exercise levels, sleep quality, diet quality, mental health, so anxiety and depression scores, quality of life, health locus of control, fatigue, and we're also looking at hand strength, walking ability, BMI. We are really capturing a large range of things here.
Yeah, wonderful. So if you're a patient of ours, expect that we are going to create a beautiful dance between you and us that involves doing various different activities, from surveys, questionnaires, to walking tests and manual dexterity assessment. And then we're bringing in more digital technology into our clinics as well. We are developing, as we speak, augmented reality motor and cognitive function assessment for people at people's home. So that's another tool that we are going to bring into life to help us to assess, and that will be even more expanding activities within our very short period of time clinics that we run at Torbay Hospital. It's no different to other clinics in the UK, but by bringing the digital technology, by engaging and creating the community, we are preventing people from having debilitating rapid progression of MS, and that affects the quality of life poorly if we don't do that. So we acknowledge that, we identify, and we are driven by the evidence-based medicine. And one of the initiatives is worth mentioning is a global PROMS initiative that it aims to enhance the unified patient-reported outcome measures in the world, and it's a collaborative effort aimed at integrating patient-reported outcomes into the management and research of multiple sclerosis on a global scale. This initiative is led by a coalition of MS organizations, including European Charcot Foundation and the Multiple Sclerosis International Federation, and among others, has been shared and divided. The initiative is designed to amplify the influence of patient input on MS care and to establish a unified perspective on patient-reported outcome measures for various stakeholders. And the main objectives of the Global PROMS initiative is to maximize patient input. The initiative strives to maximize the contribution of patient perspectives in understanding healthcare, and quality of life for people living with MS. This ensures that patient values are central to decision-making process in both research and clinical practice. And we need a unified view on patient-reported outcomes, because every single different service are using different patient-reported outcomes. So establishing the cohesive and comprehensive approach to using patient-reported outcomes in MS is essential. It involves standardizing measures and methodologies for collecting and interpreting patient-reported data. It, of course, as we mentioned before, it enhances the research and clinical management. It gives you more robustness. It can identify and recognize disease progression and improve patient treatment strategies. And it also supports personalizing medicine. So by leveraging PROMS, the initiative supports the shift towards predictive, preventative, and personalized medicine in MS. So we need to promote this and talk about this more often. We really support that international collaboration among researchers, clinicians, and healthcare providers who are bringing that initiative and consensus that will ultimately influence the policymakers by providing robust evidence on the importance of PROMS in MS management. That includes advocating for the integration of PROMS into the healthcare systems and regulatory frameworks to improve the overall quality of care for MS patients. So overall, the Global PROMS Initiative seeks to enhance the quality of life for patients with MS and ensuring that voices of patients are heard and their experiences are integral to the development and implementation of care strategies. So we think, Finn, that patients are engaging with us. People do like the approach that we're taking and driving and pioneering in MS field. What are the exact examples and feedback from our PKB platform users? Have you got anything to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think mostly the feedback that I get is thank you to our service for putting something together and helping them where they need it. Some are very active in suggesting content or changes, which has actually been quite helpful in building the platform. I really think it's important that in terms of providing this platform that we really include patient feedback, because the ultimate aim is to create a platform for people with MS. So actually having feedback from people with MS to help build a better platform for them has been really useful. I think going back to what you were just talking about in terms of collecting this data and providing a personalized approach, it's actually been very interesting that in some interviews with current users of PKB is that actually patients realize the importance of capturing this large amount of data, and that they themselves are actually very motivated to get involved with projects like this, because they know it's actually not just helping themselves, but also helping other people with MS as well, which I think is a really fantastic thing to be able to get involved in.
Overall, the impressions we get from people with MS that are part of our service, that they really positively encourage us to continue this service, and they are supporting us by doing the patient-reported outcomes online, by answering the questionnaires and doing surveys. It's for the benefit of the patients at the end of the day, but it helps us also as a healthcare providers to make the clever, smart decisions to improve quality of life. And as we are on the positive note, but we probably should cover challenges and solutions. What are the key challenges you face during the implementation or during the engagement processes? And how do you overcome these challenges?
So I think it's a very good question. And I think it's very important to address, especially because the use of digital platforms like this are still very much new and a new experience to a lot of people. So I think in terms of recruiting for a digital platform, no matter what that digital platform is, if you are dealing with an aging population, which is particularly specific to the area in which we live, you're always going to be dealing with issues of digital literacy, the ability for a person to understand and use the technology that they've been given.
Cognitive problems.
And cognitive issues as well. Yeah, that also definitely feeds into the issue here, which is obviously extremely prevalent in MS. So I think it's very important not to completely disregard people who are older or disregard people who have cognitive issues, because we ourselves have been very surprised by people who have taken quite quickly to these digital platforms. I think the most important thing, as I've said before, is education. It's always important to empower people to be able to use these platforms. So through my example of online demonstrations, I've also created lots of easy to read and easy to access guides that break down how to access certain parts of platforms step by step. That's very important. I think another potential issue for recruitment has just been some people just necessarily aren't interested in receiving lots and lots of emails from our team, which is completely understandable. But some people respond better through face-to-face. Some people respond better through having a letter where they can go back to and read all the information in their own time. So I think a real multifaceted approach to recruitment is very important. And I'd highly recommend, like we said, accessing the community support groups that are available. I think it's a great opportunity to be able to meet people face to face and connect with them on a much deeper level than just sending them an email asking them to follow a link. In terms of engagement, I think a real cornerstone of our approach to engagement has been a real massive improvement in communication. Since starting the weekly comms and sending out sort of engaging material, asking questions, asking for feedback, we've seen a massive spike in logins. And that's, obviously, I think communication plays a very, very large part in that.
Yeah. We have to be flexible, I think, overall with people living with MS and adapt to their preferences and values and their views. Some people still prefer old-fashioned face-to-face, receiving letters via post and doing various different activities that are more hands-on, low-tech. And we respect that. We are going alongside and support that approach too. We are not digitalizing and ignoring the rest that are less digitally engaging or active.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I think as well, another thing is that we're able to work around a person's sort of ability. We've got lots of patients who may be on the older side or may not have the hand dexterity to be able to use digital platforms, but we work closely with their carers or work closely with their families, so they're still able to update their information, they're still able to engage with these platforms, even though it's not necessarily them doing it themselves. So I think that accessibility is really an important part of digital platform use as well.
Wonderful. And to support us and our initiative here locally, there is a whole research process, and we have recently read the research that's been created describing the taxonomy of self-management support components to enhance understanding and implementation of complex interventions. The whole process of this research project, the taxonomy, which is called PRISM's taxonomy, we can share the links with you. It was derived from 969 unique randomized controlled trials, which is a gold standard in research, and 102 systematic reviews covering 14 diverse long-term conditions and refined through expert workshops and utility testing. So the taxonomy of the PRISMs includes 14 direct components and considers 4 overarching dimensions: mode of delivery, personnel delivering support, intervention targeting, and intensity, frequency, and duration. Key components include information about the condition and management, so providing full education on physiology, medication, and management strategies. Also, provision of equipment, supplying tools to aid self-monitoring and management, such as an example would be peak flow meters for asthma, some sort of tools to identify the capacity of the lungs, for example. Social support, facilitating peer support, befriending and group socializing. That's another component of self-management of this PRISM's taxonomy. Also, the main focus is lifestyle advice and support, offering practical advice on diet, physical activity, and other lifestyle factors. This is the aim of our podcast, BeeWellwith MS, as well as the digital platform that we use. We educate people on healthy living, healthy lifestyle. We use the developed library with the content supporting that aspect. As well as we have a Connect Plus app that is giving information and educating people on healthy living and providing exercises in a video format, as well as giving information about healthy lifestyle advice and diet, etc. The overarching dimensions of this taxonomy initiative includes modes of delivery, whether we provide that as a face-to-face self-management or remote or using telehealth or web-based methods, all valid. Personnel delivering support, it can be healthcare professionals that needs to be educated, or maybe some facilitators and educators that is a combination of the both. Healthcare provider can be educators, so we require them to be on board. Tailoring interventions to individual groups are important. What matters in MS doesn't matter in dementia or other neurological conditions. How intensive, how frequent, and what the duration, determining appropriate dose of the interventions and ensuring effectiveness is important. So we are learning as we go. We establish our patterns of communication and encouragement and engagement. Other services may have their own other unique skills and techniques and expertise. I guess having that unified approach, it requires almost creating a consensus. If you are interested, please contact us. We would be more than welcome to contribute and maybe to lead the project of developing the digital technology that could be used in prompts and what the common consensus is for delivering this service. And also all the platforms, all the digital tools, all the self-management requires testing and refinement. And that's where the taxonomy was tested against the existing self-management support programs and refined based on the feedback and utility testing. And it's important to use this taxonomy to design and evolve and accommodate new models of delivery and competence. It's basically you're learning new things as you go. And it's a new framework for interventions, and defining the common language is important for commissioners, service providers, healthcare professionals, researchers, and people with long-term conditions. So it also helps to support the research as we discussed. So overall, this article, it was amazing. And the PRISM's taxonomy is a valuable tool for improving the reporting and implementation of self-management support interventions, ultimately enhancing the care and management of individuals with long-term conditions. So it's not just MS is a long-term condition. There are so many other that would benefit by using the same model as we do here and by following the research. So then, has your role as an MS coordinator influenced the success and adoption of the PKB platform among patients?
I would say that it has. I think that obviously, having a very busy team, the clinical staff and our support admin staff, they can't focus on a project like this that does take clearly quite a bit of time dedicated to it to help it improve. I believe that as we said, communication has been a massively important part of it. Someone that has the time to be able to run these educational programs for new users and old users as well. It definitely takes time. It definitely takes commitment. And I think that it can't really be treated as a side project. I think it needs to be really dedicated to it and cared for in order to see it thrive.
And the most important thing, that the tools that we're using are integrated into our health records.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It provides immediate access to blood results. It provides immediate sharing to connected care teams or external care teams that are involved in a person's care plan. It really is sort of a marvel of digital health technology. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, integration is super important, no matter what digital tool we use and what outcomes are we measuring. If it is part of the healthcare provider's journey and it's part of the patient's journey and is connected and interconnected and linked, that's where we see the best outcomes overall. And looking into the future directions, any ideas, Finn, for improvement in digital health? And
yeah, we're definitely not there yet. I think that we've sort of touched on a few topics here. I think that connecting with other teams, connecting with other localities, other trusts, to be able to improve sort of data sharing would be fantastic.
Learning from each other's experiences. Exactly. Yeah.
And, some patients that we see are crying out for this. They've come from different localities and they've used different resources and they wonder why we're not talking to them. And it's because there is this weird closed off approach to data sharing, which is only going to help the people we look after. I think in terms of these digital platforms, I think definitely improving recruitment so everyone can reap the benefit of these platforms be fantastic. Improving the different multidisciplinary teams that are involved in the resources that are available on these platforms and the functionality. I think we could even improve sort of self-referral to different teams through these digital platforms as well. I think we're only limited by the connections that we have within our sort of different localities.
Yeah, and it could be widespread.
Huge improvement to be made.
Yeah. So if you're a patient of ours and listening to this episode, we encourage you not to ignore our surveys and questionnaires that we send you via your email and PKB platform. Please do engage, and you can now see the reason why we're doing it's for the benefit of your own health, to improve your quality of life, to improve your outcomes. We do assess every single survey and questionnaire that you respond. It's not like it's flying into the air. It's embedded into your clinical notes. We know who you are. We know your responses, and we make decisions based on that. Okay, so that's our incorporated, inclusive approach in your care management for you living with MS. So Finn is going to send you more emails, and we do that on a regular basis. So please do respond to us. Be active. It's for you, not us. We're trying to help you, and that's our ultimate goal. Okay. Thank you for joining us on this insightful episode of Be Well with MS. We hope you found the discussion on digital platforms and self-management in MS as enlightening as we did with Finn. And big thank you to Finn for sharing his valuable expertise and experiences. Thanks for coming, Finn.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Remember, self-management is a crucial part of living well with MS, and digital tools are here to empower you with the information and support you need. By integrating these tools into our daily routine, you can take a proactive role in managing your health and improving your quality of life. We know what the healthcare situation is in the world, so we're trying to find a new way of working. If you have any questions or want to share your experiences, please reach out to us on our social media channels or through our website. We'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation. For more resources, follow us on social media and visit our website at www.BeeWellwithMS.com. We'd love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions for future episodes. Thank you for listening. Stay well. And until next time, be well with MS.